Hello. So we're now on day 5, I believe day 5 of the game jam, and we have something which I've managed to upload onto itch, to jacksaw.itch.io, and have got a playable game. It runs. There's a random error, but it's actually totally fine. And that error. Start typing. Yeah, like the thing exists. The thing exists. It can be played by anyone, and yeah, and that's pretty amazing. We're a long way off from where I'd like to be in terms of the whole thing, but this is essentially an early access release, to want a better word, you know, and that's amazing to see. The kind of main stuff in terms of development that I've actually been doing today has been the rhythm game side of things. There's quite a lot of work to be done on this, but considering that it just didn't exist earlier on, that, yeah, it's coming together. So now we can start typing. There's one little bit of audio there that needs to sort out. In fact, oh yeah. Okay. So you can probably hear there's actually like an on beat and an off beat. So basically, I had a really hard time with working out how BPM works accurately with the measurements that I'm using. This is largely because of my lack of understanding of how canvases work. Now, earlier on today when I started, everything was scaled by 0.14, and that then actually impacts on a number of things in a number of different ways, a number of positions, a number of transforms. But it seems to be, like, at least in an initial perspective, seems to be relatively inconsistent. I just don't know how it works, but it pretty much is the long and short of it. And so actually syncing up music that would fit just wasn't a thing. So instead what we've got are a bunch of invisible colliders which are with these circles and then halfway between them, so then we can have an on and off beat, and those then trigger a sound. Actually the sounds that it's currently using aren't the ones we're going to be using. I actually have made them already, I just haven't implemented them properly. So disco beats, so like we'll have a downbeat which will be the 1, and then we'll have the off beats, and then I'm hoping to actually have like 1, and then actually have a backbeat, so 1, boom, the proper like standard Thomas the Tank Engine backbeat. Yeah, and I've also done some playtesting of this. So the weirdest thing I've done is the fact that after like a few words, this doesn't become, well, sorry, this becomes just a little more tedious. So what we're going to try and do is to have the speed increase on every completed word. I've started doing some work on making it all proportional, you know, because we've got, we've got instantiations, which I didn't know existed before today. So actually what creates those circles. In fact, if I show you the scene view, that'll make life much more obvious. So to see what's going on here is that we actually have these circles being created, and then actually being destroyed when they get to a certain distance. And that is called instantiation, and that is instantiating the prefabs which I've made. So there's a circle and the kick and the snare, which is kind of my shorthand for the on and the off beats. It's really, I'll rename them at some point. But yeah, so I now just have to work out a way of sending everything a variable, which I thought I knew and then tried for a while, and then it failed horribly. I'll very quickly just show that here are a number of the different versions of the game that I'm thinking about. So we've got the disco version, so that's what we've just seen, the rhythm. There's Disco Dragon Plus, so that's going to be after the first lesson. Like after you start playing, if you miss a beat, then that's an error. Ultimate Dragon, In fact, typing Dragon Plus, I've just thought could be only one error allowed. I mean, or that could be called Glass Dragon. Yeah, and so we've got like, I mean, this boils down to a number of key elements, but we've got like, you know, there's rhythm games. Then instead of completing 10 words, you've got to complete all 40. Well, I want to put together 40 in the dictionary, which we don't currently have. And then you can have the ultimate disco dragon, so that's going to go through all 40 of the words, and it can be ultimate disco dragon plus, go through all the words with a you know, etc. And then the impossible dragons are more or less just keep going, and have a time limit. Because in fact, one of the things that I forgot to mention is the fact that here also implemented the timer, so that's nice. So that means that, and when we fail, this all pauses and stuff like that, which is both harder and easier than it sounds to make that work. I just happened to remember watching one video about half a year ago where someone shows how to do that, and it's unsurprisingly another Brackeys tutorial on making a pause menu. But yeah, that I thought was going to be really, really difficult, but actually has not been, which is nice. Yeah, so like we've got a game which works, and we have directions, and we have things that we'd like to improve, and what more could I ask for? So anyway, also I finished my teaching today. I have one, but with the exception of one pupil that is in the tomorrow morning, I have finished all of my other work. So for the next 4 days or so, I get to really kind of focus on this, outside of doing one live show that I've got to do on Friday night, which will be a lot of fun, and actually going to be in the cafe, so that's going to be a really interesting kind of acoustic set. But yeah, in an abandoned cafe, well, in an empty cafe, I should say, rather than abandoned. But yeah, cool. Anyway, I hope you're well, and have yourself a lovely time. Bye.